Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of the Let's Talk Thursdays podcast. My name is BrendenPlayz, and it's crazy to think that we are only a couple of weeks away from WrestleMania. It's creeping up very, very quickly, and I gotta say, look, I'm looking forward to it. I am. I mean, I love WrestleMania. It's the whole week now. It's WrestleMania. You got the Hall of Fame, which is always great. Really looking forward to that this year. NXT is always good. The TakeOver show, and then WrestleMania, and then you got the Raw after WrestleMania. It's 4 days in a row of WWE, and it's always just a huge weekend full of wrestling. And what more could you want? It's gonna be fun. Look, the card, I think it's looking good. I mean, the world title match, Lesnar and Goldberg. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest with you. I don't mind the match, but for the world title, as I said, over the last few months, but whatever. And then there's a few bright spots. Bray and Randy, I think, will be exciting. I'm even looking forward to Shane and AJ. I think that's going to be good. I think Jericho and Kevin Owens will be, because there's a few definitely bright spots on the card. So, only a few weeks away. I'm looking forward to it. This week on the show, well, one of the things that frustrated me this week, and it's not really my fault, it's just timing, it's just, but over the weekend, the Paige Scandal, if you don't know, I think you all know, but the sex tape Paige did, I'm assuming 4 years ago when she was down in NXT, it got leaked out. Now, we'll talk about that in a moment's time, but it got leaked out. So one of the things that really annoyed me is that happened over the weekend. It's been a number of days now. Even for me personally, that feels like a month ago. It feels forever ago that happened. But it really wasn't long ago at all. But the problem is that, I feel like everyone's kind of had their comment about it. Everyone's done a show about it. Everyone's talked about it. But I haven't yet. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, do I save my audience, and do I just, briefly talk about it, or do I go in depth into it? It's a difficult one, but myself personally, I think I'm kind of just about done with the topic as well. I mean, everyone's I've listened to a lot of people talk about it for hours actually at the one topic, but I mean, look, it's a crazy situation. It really is, and it's a much bigger situation than you really think. It's much bigger than just, Paige has got some nudes out there on the internet. It's a much bigger situation than that, and I guess, we'll talk about it in a moment's time, but yeah, it kind of sucks that, that happened just after I did last week's show, and we kind of missed that, but, we can't help it. I could have, is it that big of a topic that I would go on and I would do a separate podcast, a rare, special edition show? Yeah, maybe. Not quite, but I was away anyway, so I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about for today's show, the Paige situation. Also, there's a rumor going around about WWE buying Ring of Honor. Now, look, I'm not believing it, and I believe when I see it type of deal, but we'll touch on it. We'll touch on hypotheticals. If WWE does buy Ring of Honor, what does this mean? What could happen? What's the future of the independents, etc., etc. We've got plenty of good questions for this week's Fast Five, as always. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw, the Foley firing angle, and things like that. And SmackDown. Wow, SmackDown was good this week. I really enjoyed it. When I heard about the Total Bellas thing, they showed it on the screen for SmackDown, I thought, oh my god, this is going to be brutal. This is going to be terrible. But it turned out to be absolute gold. Couldn't believe it. It was so good. So, plenty of positives to talk about SmackDown, and I just can't say enough about it. I just finished watching WrestleMania 21. You guys know I've been watching 2005 WWE, and I've been flying through it. I've just had it on the computer all day whilst I'm working or playing video games or whatever. Just been playing it all day, and it's really fun to watch. Like I said, weeks ago, if you haven't already done something like this before, go back, use the network and get your value out of it, and go back and pick a year that you find interesting and watch every Raw, every SmackDown, and the pay-per-views on it. It's really good, especially if you're not really enjoying the current product and you're looking for something that was good and you haven't seen it, and I definitely recommend it, because I haven't seen 2005, majority of it anyways, so this is all new to me. And I picked that because obviously the year that I started watching was 2005, and I started watching in October, so I wanted to see, what happened before that. And, I've just kind of really been enjoying it. And it kind of, SmackDown to me, current SmackDown, on 2017 SmackDown, it's just reminding me of the enjoyment that I was getting, that I've been having watching 05 SmackDown and Raw. I just feel like SmackDown's just kind of getting some of those elements and really starting to get a lot of things right. And, they do a lot of the things that I personally, myself, really like. So we'll talk about that later on when we get into SmackDown, but I'm really enjoying it, which is great. It's great that I've got some kind of WWE product that I'm really loving. Even though Raw is kind of, really not great, SmackDown is really good, and it's a show that I generally look forward to watching every week. I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say underrated, but for myself personally, like, I think, think about what's really good on TV right now. And, you think of your general shows like, oh, yeah, can't wait for the next Walking Dead episode or whatever. But sometimes I kind of forget, like, oh, man, I can't wait to watch SmackDown. But, I mean, I guess it's kind of my weekly routine. But, now that I think about it, like, I generally should be more excited to watch SmackDown because it's a really good show. So, yeah, anyways. But, we'll talk about SmackDown this week. And a few other little tidbits here and there will, of course, answer some of your questions. But I guess the overview is done. I like to do the overview. I don't know if you guys like that, but just to let you guys know what you can expect to hear on the show. And if you want to tune in for later on or not, I guess it gives you an opportunity if you want to, if you like what you're hearing, if you say, okay, this topic interests me, I'll stick around. If not, okay. But I just give you guys a bit of an overview. Anyways, the Paige situation. Now, as I said a moment ago, do I go into brief or do I touch over it? I'll probably go for a bit of a mix of the two. Look, I've been listening to a lot of shows about it, and there's a lot of, I guess, it's hard to kind of say. I mean, on one hand, do you say, well, Paige made a huge mistake? Or on the other hand, man, that was private. It was private video, private photos. It got leaked. It's an unfortunate situation. Which side am I kind of leaning towards? I'm leaning towards a Paige fucked up type of situation. And the reason why I say that is because when you're a celebrity, I get it, she's 19 at the time. Now she's a bit older now, a couple of years older than me. But when you're a celebrity, you've got to know that any time you're getting filmed, you're getting your photo taken, anything like that, that it's stored somewhere. It's taken, a photo has been taken, it's saved somewhere, it's stored somewhere, and the potential for someone to see it is, very possible. So when Paige is recording herself, it's very likely that, yes, she could trust this person that she's sending it to so much, but it's very possible that, these videos could get out. Very possible. So that's why all my listeners right now, don't ever send new photos of yourself to anyone. Don't send, even if you got a girlfriend, or if you're a girl, you got a boyfriend, and you want to send them a nude photo. Quite often, these photos, when there's a bad breakup, these photos get sent around. Or these photos, they show a friend, hey, check out my girlfriend. This is what this is what she looks like. Or check out this girl I hooked up with, etc., etc. These things happen a lot more than you think, and you might not know about it, but it's happening. So it's a case of be smart and don't send photos of yourself nude. Don't create videos, especially if you're a celebrity. If you're Paige, I get it at the time, she's 19, new to WWE, she's in NXT, not as popular, not as big as she once was a couple of years ago. But still, you have to know that there's a potential that this video that she's made with Brad Maddox and Xavier Woods and all these solo videos she's made and these other videos she's made with Maddox and herself, that these videos can get out. these videos can be seen because hacking these days is more prominent than ever, especially celebrities. They're getting hacked all the time. Twitters, Instagrams are getting hacked all the time. I'm surprised mine haven't been hacked. Please don't hack me. That'd be great. But it happens all the time. It's ridiculous. But so if you've got these videos, you've got these photos, it's very possible that, if they're stored on a phone or any device or on a cloud, they can get hacked and they get seen. And once it's hacked, it can be taken out. Now, the other kind of side of it is, was this leaked? Was this leaked by Brad Maddox or Paige herself? Some people kind of believe that. Or was this the work of a hacker? Now, it's hard to really say. Did Brad Maddox do this to get some attention? Now, we knew Brad Maddox had some videos of himself and some of the women in WWE. I heard about that rumor over a year or so ago. We heard about something going on. So we kind of knew that he had something. I personally didn't believe it that much, to be honest. I didn't think too much of it. I didn't think it would actually come about, but, as it turns out, it did. So, is this guy, does he leak it to give himself some attention, give himself some fame, to, I guess, ruin the reputation of Paige? Did he and Paige have a bad falling out? They don't talk to each other anymore? I'm going to say no. I doubt it. I doubt it. Because I guess it's just an odd time to kind of, bring it up. Paige is as irrelevant as she's ever been. She's been off TV for nearly a year. She's out injured. She's got a movie coming out about her, but, when the movie is just being released, that would be the time, if I was doing something malicious, I would release the sex tape when the movie had just come out or is about to come out and it's already, been created, and just to screw over, all the film production and everyone involved. That's what I would do if I was trying to be malicious. So it's kind of an odd time. I mean, I believe the movie's only, some scenes have been shot. I don't think it's been made or anything like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's an odd time. It's an odd time for it to come out. The only real thing that I can really say was Xavier Woods hit 1 million subscribers on YouTube the day that the tape came out. But Xavier Woods was in one video. And to be honest, when I watched it, I couldn't really tell it was Xavier Woods. When I was reading comments online, everyone was saying it was, so I had to go and double check. So it's not exactly that obvious that he's in it. But, it's basically been confirmed that he was, by New Day, for example, on Raw, somewhat bringing it up, and Xavier Woods also did an appearance and kind of brought it up as well. So, look, I don't know who released it, I don't know who leaked it, but at the end of the day, everyone involved should know better. Brad Maddox, look, this guy obviously films everyone he has sex with. Let's be honest. The guy, he looked like he was a porn director there. He had a 2-camera setup. He had a tripod, at the hard camera. And then, no pun intended, no pun intended. But then he had, the point of view camera, and he's just kind of, in the video we saw, and this is going to be a bit of a non-PG, type of show. So if you're a little kiddie out there, kind of tune out. But he's shoving it up right near Paige's ass and kind of filming up there. It's, the guy obviously has done this quite a lot, and the thing is about it is that we saw 1 minute of it. It's quite clearly that their session did not last 1 minute. So it's very possible that there's a lot more footage that could be leaked here. If we saw 1 minute of probably a 20-minute session, let's just give a wild guess. Well, where's the other 20 minutes? That's going to come out, isn't it? So there's clearly a lot more footage that could be coming out because that tripod, that camera there would have been recording the whole thing. Where's Brad Maddox's point of view video? So that's the thing. There's potential for a lot more to come out that could really harm Paige. This is really only the taste of it. Look, myself personally, I don't really care that she did a sex tape because, sex tapes are very common these days. If we had said 20 years ago, oh my God, she did a sex tape, it would have been the end of the world for her. But people pose nude all the time. People do sex tapes quite often. I mean, God, Kim Kardashian made a career out of it. So, doing a sex tape these days isn't that bad, but the problem that I probably have with it is that Paige is a role model to younger children, really, younger girls. So when a young girl looks up to Paige and she's kind of done this shitty thing, that's kind of sad. And I think myself, like a lot of other people, when she had the picture of herself with a championship, Brad Maddox, did what he did all over the championship, that to me was the one thing that said she's got to get fired. That's the one thing. Like, sex tape, it was private, it got leaked. Fair enough. That's shit. All that got leaked. But when you have the picture of herself degrading the NXT Women's Championship, I couldn't let that go. If I'm her, employ her, my logo, my company logo, if I'm Vince McMahon, my company logo is being degraded like that. I couldn't have that. The other thing is that how the hell could she ever come back? I cannot see her coming back to WWE TV, being on Raw, and ever being treated seriously again. I can't see it. I cannot see how it's possible. Honestly, you have to wait 3-4 years for people to forget about it. It's a lot different to the Seth Rollins situation, or Titus O'Neil when a leaked selfie got out there, a leaked naked selfie. This is like pornographic videos, it's legitimate. You could just find this stuff on porn. That's her type of videos that has been leaked. If it's one photo, yeah, fine, but legitimate videos is pretty crazy. That's next level. So I can't see how WWE will ever put her back on television. I personally don't really want to see her back. I can't support her, and I've actually liked Paige. Her last 6 or so months, I couldn't give a shit about her. But when she first burst on the scene, she won the Women's Championship or Divas title, whatever the hell. I thought Paige was pretty good. I thought she was going to be the future of the women's division. I thought the women's division was going to be built around her, and then, she's going to be feuding with the next generation, Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, all these great rivalries with Paige, and Paige is still going to be the vocal point. Didn't happen to be the case. Paige just, injuries, suspensions, so much backstage drama and trouble. Apparently, even rumors that she may be doing some kind of drugs. The Del Rio incidents, there's so much drama, so much trouble with her. And now to the point where, it's at the point where, look, she's number 5, number 6 on the Raw Women's roster. If they brought her back, she's far behind everyone. She's so far behind on SmackDown too. She's an afterthought. She's not a hell of a lot better than, a Summer Rae at this point. And that's pretty harsh, but probably Dana Brooke. She might be above Dana Brooke, but she's certainly not leapfrogging Sasha or Bayley or Nia Jax, So she's very far behind the pecking order now. She's dropped quite a lot. She hasn't done a lot for a long time. So if you brought her back, I can't see her being in a prominent role. Perhaps she would get jobbed out and released, but personally, I wouldn't even bother. I would just release her right now, and, just completely separate myself from her. And it's a shame. I think they kind of feel bad because they brought her in. She was so young when they brought her in, and she's kind of grown up in the company. So maybe they have a bit of a soft spot for her. Maybe they, Triple H really wants to help her out and fix her issues and get her back on track. Maybe that's the case, but I feel like they've given her so many chances now, and they've got so many people that arguably are better than her, worth more of the investment, that it might be time to cut ties with her. And I personally, I couldn't watch her on television, couldn't take her seriously anymore. The thing is with anyone, with a really attractive woman, and here's the thing with WWE, the woman who often gets the most over, the woman in WWE who often is the big star, is the woman that the men want to fuck, let's be blunt about it, and the women want to be like, the women look up to. For example, Trish Stratus, insanely hot, She was incredible. But she also was a great athlete and also a bit of a role model to women. You know, and then it kind of moved on. And in the last few years, for example, AJ Lee. You know, she was, all the men would, you know, oh my God, how, you know, she's so hot, blah, 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 blah. And then Paige, at one point, was that person. But then the thing is, you know, it's that fantasy. You know, especially for the men, it's the fantasy of getting with that woman. And when you actually see her, literally everything about her, then that fantasy is gone, and that desire is gone, and that interest is gone. So that all of a sudden you lose the men, and then the women, well, they don't look at you the same light because of what you've done, and they look down upon you. So then you lose the women, and who you got left? No one. So I don't see how Paige can really recover. She's going to lose her fans, her audience. People may feel bad for her in the situation, but I cannot see how she can come back to the WWE and ever be something again. I'm sure she could go to TNA and be something there, be on Del Rio's arm. I'm sure that could happen, and that would be fine. I'm sure she can go around the independents, go back to UK, you know, even go on that shitty What Culture wrestling show and do that. You know, she could do that. You know, I'm sure they'll pay her. So I'm sure she could make some money for the next 2-3 years until her, you know, her worth kind of dries up a little bit, her name value. But, you know, I think she's got to realize that she's really messed up a big situation, a big opportunity to be the star of this women's division. She's kind of completely missed this whole women's quote-unquote revolution. Yeah, so I kind of feel bad for her that way, but really she brought it on herself. And in my opinion, my final thought is that WWE need to let her go. She's no value to them anymore, and she's injury prone now. So they've got better people there. They've got better, more respectable people. And the last thing you want is a troublemaker. You know, if she's a troublemaker and she's making you millions, you gotta just bite the bullet. But if she's a troublemaker and she's making you nothing, see ya. Goodbye. So that's really all I have to say about it. I mean, I think we covered it pretty well, pretty in depth, you know. So let me know what you think. You know, it's very controversial. I can see both sides to it. Do you feel bad, or do you say, no, stuff her, she's fucked up, you know, let's get rid of her? I'm kind of more on that side. You know, I think she's stuffed up, and, you know, yes, Brad Maddox is definitely blamed, the porn star fucking esque. Xavier Woods, I wouldn't punish him because the guy was in a threesome, so what? You know, if there's more videos here of him doing some stupid shit, then maybe, but I'm happy with him. Brad Maddox, they can't do anything to him. He hasn't, you know, he's not in the company anymore. He's already gone. He's already done. He's fallen off the face of the earth. Cut some kind of really super weird promo the other day on his YouTube channel or something like that. But other than that, I haven't heard his voice since he left. And by the way, he sucked. And Brad Maddox was horrible. You know, he was, everything about him, he sucked. So him going, you know, a couple of years ago was no loss at all. But apparently he was, you know, a bit of a stud backstage. So good for him. You know, he was getting some of the women. You know, he was nailing them, videotaping them, you know, to remember the good times. Because he didn't have many the good times didn't last long. Let's just say that. Didn't stick around for long. But, yeah. So hopefully there's not anything else to come out for Paige. But look, if there's a 1-minute clip of them in that threesome, I think there's going to be 20 minutes of footage that's, you know, floating around somewhere. And I'm sure there's more footage of her doing something else with someone else that could come out. So I think this could just be the beginning. It wasn't just Paige that had nudes leaked. Few ex-wrestlers in the WWE. Melina, she had her nudes leaked. Caitlyn had her nudes leaked. Maria Kanellis had her nudes leaked, which isn't a real big deal because she did Playboy, so we kind of seen her. And Victoria, she had some nudes leaked as well. And is there anyone else I'm missing? I don't think so. Oh, Summer Rae. Summer Rae had a number of nudes leaked as well. So it's been a bit of a I guess you'd have to say it's been a bit of a hacking. It's been a bit of a trend. Someone who likes wrestling is obviously getting in trying to hack these women. So maybe there has been a leak. Maybe it's not an intentional, upload from Paige, because all these other leaks would suggest that that's not the case. With Summer Rae, she had quite a number of nudes, and again, it's similar to Seth Rollins. It's not on the scale of Paige. It's just some nude photos, private photos leaked. The same thing with Paige. Look, if it wasn't these videos and her degrading the championship, I would have been okay with it. But sex tape is the next level. That's pretty bad. Just had to been a few photos, I could have let it slide. That's why I'm going to have to let it slide for Summer Rae, which, by the way, I think she's bound to be released this year, if not next, very soon, because she's got zero worth at all. She's done. And she would not be missed at all. Anyways, that's enough of nude photos. I'm kind of sick of it at the moment. At this point, we're seeing so many. It's just like, all right, calm down. We need to space it out a little bit, all right? Next topic: WWE buying Ring of Honor. Wow, this is gonna be another long one. Look, WWE passed on buying TNA, so now the rumor is they want to buy Ring of Honor and put Ring of Honor on their network as a weekly TV show. Now, look, I personally don't see it happening. I mean, if it does happen, I think it's another nail in the coffin for the wrestling industry, because I think Ring of Honor at this point is number 2. You can say what you want to say about TNA, but, they've fallen pretty hard in the last couple of years. I think Ring of Honor is probably got a little bit more prestigious. People hold it up a lot more than TNA at this point, or whatever, Impact Wrestling. I got to get used to calling them that. So, at this point, Ring of Honor has certainly got a lot more value than, Impact. So I would put it at number 2. So if WWE's buying their number 2, competition, that's not good. Yeah, you could say New Japan, but New Japan doesn't have a presence in the United States. And, whilst New Japan is great, I don't think it'll ever be legitimate competition to the WWE. I don't think they see it as legitimate competition. That's why they mention it all the time. AJ Styles, IWGP World Champion. They don't see it as competition because it's in a completely different country, different language, so they don't see it as competition. But Ring of Honor isn't really, no one is competition to WWE realistically, but Ring of Honor is really, it's a feeder territory for WWE. All their big names coming to NXT have all kind of been at Ring of Honor at one point. So I guess they kind of feel as though, hey, why don't we just own Ring of Honor? Since all our guys are coming from Ring of Honor, why don't we just own it? But I feel like it's a waste of time. Because Ring of Honor and NXT are a very similar product. Obviously NXT much more sports entertainment orientated, but essentially you'd be having the same type of guys on both shows. I don't see the point of them buying it, and I don't see what the draw or what the appeal would be to having Ring of Honor on the network. And if they did buy Ring of Honor, essentially Ring of Honor would just become another NXT. I mean, how would it be any different? WWE would obviously change things about it. There's no chance that they just, hey, let's buy Ring of Honor, but you guys keep running it exactly however you want. We just want to own it. We just want to take the profits. No, they're gonna insert their opinion. They're gonna say, well, we need to up the production quality. We're gonna change this. We're gonna change this. They're gonna make changes. They're gonna regulate the talent there, who they've got, who they don't want. So there'd be a huge amount of changes, and essentially Ring of Honor would just be another version of NXT, probably NXT Lite. If NXT is already down on talent, WWE's going to raid Ring of Honor, put their best talent on NXT, and then the rest will probably be on Ring of Honor. So Ring of Honor will be the developmental territory of NXT. When NXT is developmental territory of WWE. So it's just, I don't see the point. If they want to have their performance center guys, the guys who can't make it to NXT TV, they want to feature them, why not just set up their own little shop? Why not just, run a couple, create another little mini show and, run a show every, twice a month or whatever on there and just do that. I get they do house shows, but if they want to televise it, then just do something like that. Bring back FCW if they want to. So they don't need to buy another company. And we don't have any competition in this, and I've never watched an episode of Ring of Honor in full. I've watched maybe an hour of Ring of Honor in total. I just didn't appeal to me at all. But still, I think it's good to have a place, people can go and work and do something there. And if anything, Ring of Honor are doing a little bit better these days. They're getting more television and better talent going there. Even though they're losing a lot of their guys, they're still attracting more people that probably would have went to TNA, are more inclined to go to Ring of Honor now. So they're doing okay, I think. So them selling up would be pretty bad. So hopefully it doesn't happen. Like I said, I don't think it will be, but I just figured I'd better address the rumors that's going around before it does translate into something big or it just goes away. I thought I'd give my 2 cents on it. Alright, speaking of 2 cents, we're going to do the Fast 5, where we answer 5 questions in 5 minutes. Pretty simple this week. First up, another rumor, I guess, going around. Bo Dallas as a Wyatt family member. Would it work? Bray Wyatt came out and said he would love to see Bo Dallas in the Wyatt family. Myself personally, Bo Dallas, could it work? Yeah, sure. But it kind of really changes the mold of a Wyatt family member. Big, tall, muscular monster. Bo Dallas is 6 foot tall. He's ugly looking. Kind of weird looking type of dude. He's a very strange looking guy. So yes, it could work in that type of way. It could go insane or whatever. But I don't really want to see it. It definitely would revive Bo Dallas's career. And Bo Dallas was a guy who had a gimmick that was probably destined to fail. And he got it over. He did well with it. He ran with it and did pretty well with it. And he definitely overachieved. And obviously he had a disastrous booking run when he first came to WWE. Losing to R-Truth and losing his winning streak and just getting buried from there. So would it revive his career? Yes, it definitely would. And so that's a good thing for him. But, I just think I couldn't personally take him serious as a legitimate threat, even though he'd be under a Wyatt family, perhaps even a mask. Should The Miz win another world title? I tell you what, I have been up and down on The Miz over the last number of years. Sometimes I'm a big fan, other times I couldn't care less. At this point in time, I'm a big fan. This guy, promos every week are on fire. He's just making storyline. Every storyline he's been in the last probably year has been great. Ever since he's been on SmackDown, The Miz is just dominating. The Miz, I think, would be maybe debatable with AJ Styles, the MVP of SmackDown. And I think personally, I would have The Miz and Maurice win at WrestleMania over John Cena and Nikki Bella. Do a big upset. And put The Miz back on the map. Because John Cena apparently is going to do another movie. So what sense would it have to have John Cena win? You make The Miz win, you get a win over Cena. Miz can be bragging about that for the next 6 months until Cena comes back. And you would put The Miz back on the map. And a win like that, you could put The Miz back in that main event picture. I could believe it. He's got the promo ability. The wrestling ability is his issue, but look, if he's taken on AJ Styles or Dean Ambrose or whatever, Randy Orton, he can carry them to a good match. So I think the promos alone would be fantastic. Will Jim Cornette say anything controversial at the Hall of Fame? No. He won't. It's great to see Jim Cornette back. I am a big fan of Jim Cornette. I love his rants. His shoot interviews are my favorite. Honestly, I agree with a lot of things he says. He's very knowledgeable in wrestling. He knows all the history of wrestling. It's terrific. I love listening to him talk. So it's really, really exciting to actually see him back. That's probably one of my most anticipated things in the Hall of Fame, to see Jim Cornette back. I'm very surprised that they asked him to do it. I think it's really cool, though. But he won't say anything controversial. I think he'll just do his job. He's going to be very respectful and to the rock and roll, and I don't expect anything too controversial. I think he'll just, cut a 5-minute speech, say it's great to be back, blah, blah, blah. We'll probably say, I can't believe I'm here. I bet you all didn't expect me to ever be back, blah, 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 and then just kind of induct the rock and roll and do them justice. So I don't expect anything too controversial. Will I be buying Mass Effect Andromeda? I think that's how we said it. I've never actually learned what the next the new Mass Effect game's name is. So I think I learned it the other day. I'm like, oh, Andromeda. Okay, I knew it started with an A, and I never bothered to kind of read it. Look, very controversial at the moment. I'm hearing animations on it are horrible. Look, I did not like Mass Effect 3. I really didn't. I loved Mass Effect 2. Did not like Mass Effect 3. So I had zero hype about this game whatsoever. My friend really wants me to buy it, so he gets it as well. Man, the reviews, if it was a really highly reviewed game, everyone was talking about how great it was, I would buy it. But if it's, some people love it, some people hate it type of deal, it's definitely worth the playthrough, but it's not amazing, then I'm on the fence. I probably won't buy it. If I will, maybe I'll wait for a price drop. It's disappointing. It really is. I love Mass Effect 2, but I hated 3, and this one I'm hearing is not much better than 3. And finally, the Bad Blood pay-per-view is returning. What other names would I like to see back as a pay-per-view? Well, rumor is that Bad Blood's returning, which I think Bad Blood is a really great name for a pay-per-view. If I'm thinking of a pay-per-view, Bad Blood is the real deal. That's a good pay-per-view. I personally, as you guys know, I love the 2005, 6, 7 era. That's when I first started watching wrestling, fell in love with it. So I love Judgment Day. I love Armageddon. I love No Mercy. I love Vengeance. No Way Out. Bad Blood was, I think, 04, but I think it's a badass name. So those types of pay-per-views I really like. Fastlane's horrible. Get rid of Hell in a Cell, TLC. We can do away with that shit. And, when you think about it, this Sunday, Armageddon. That sounds badass. Judgment Day. It sounds so much better. So, even though it's been done, even though they're older names, I still think, personally, they still would work. I think sometimes, even though it's old, I think it's still worth having. And I think we might have went over time a little bit, but that's okay. But anyways, that's the Fast Five. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to... I'm hoping, just to finish that off, I just hope WWE consider changing the Hell in a Cell, the themed pay-per-views this year. Because I think personally, having Hell in a Cell every twice a year, just killing the gimmick. Elimination Chamber, I don't mind. I really don't. Before WrestleMania and Elimination Chamber, I don't mind it. I actually personally like it. Money in the Bank as a pay-per-view, I think, is the right idea. I think it should be its own pay-per-view. And then, TLC, why do we need a TLC? We've got to force a TLC match. It's just those types of things I think they can really do away with and kind of change it to some different names. And, if they go back to some of their older names, that's a good idea. If they try and create some new ones, fair enough. But, look, Fastlane's a pathetic name. So, maybe they should go back to the old stuff because their new ideas aren't so great. All right, let's transition into Monday Night Raw. And not a lot to really say this week. Mick Foley fired as general manager. I think we kind of saw this one coming. New GM, who's it going to be? Well, I guess we're all speculating it's probably going to be Kurt Angle. Maybe even Stephanie just runs it by herself. Stephanie still is just the absolute shits. She's just cancer. I've been saying it for weeks now, but she's just the cancer of this show. She's unbearable. There's got to come a time where Bayley just says, you know what, stuff it, and just slaps the taste out of Stephanie McMahon's face, in her mouth or whatever. Or Sasha, someone, do something. I'm watching 05, like I said, and in the 1 week, John Cena gave the FU, or the AA, to Teddy Long, and his punishment was that he couldn't touch JBL before the pay-per-view, or he'd lose his title shot. So not a big deal. And Randy Orton gave an RKO to Eric Bischoff, and he had no punishment at all. So it feels like, where is the defiance of authority? Everyone, the women on the show are just so scared of Stephanie to do anything about it. Where is Sasha Banks saying, you know what, Stephanie, screw you? It just slaps her right in the face and drops her down. Stephanie not want to, take anything physical, because if she's like that, she can't come on TV and just act like she's just the absolute boss and never get, the wrestlers never get a chance to take it down. It's ridiculous. It's been since the Brie Bella rivalry, or Ronda Rousey bitched her out that Stephanie's taken anything. So I think it's time that either Stephanie has a match or someone lays her out, because Christ, it's unbearable at this point. The way she's just, especially Bayley at the moment. Bayley's her target at the moment. It's bad. It's just bad. Triple H, at least, when he talks shit, at least now Seth Rollins is gonna maybe beat him at WrestleMania. I think probably Triple H probably will win, let's be honest. But, at least he gets his hands on him. He gets in the ring and has a brawl. Triple H is willing to do that. Why can't someone have a brawl with Stephanie? Stephanie's the boss. I get it. Oh, I can fire you. But it's like, well, for Sasha Banks, for example, Bayley, you're treating me like shit. If you fire me, I'll just go to SmackDown and I'll get treated better by Shane and Daniel Bryan. So where's the storyline where, oh, if you're gonna treat me like shit, I'll just go to SmackDown. See you later. They'll treat me better. And Stephanie has to kind of backtrack, like, oh no, I don't want to lose, my women's champion. I don't want to lose Bayley. And all of a sudden, Stephanie's put in the back foot. Stephanie has to kind of, make a decision to favor Bayley. So put some pressure back on Stephanie. Stop making Stephanie just the dictator of the show, because it's really ruining it, to be honest with you. It's really overplayed now. It's really tiresome. And it just makes the wrestlers look shitty. Wrestlers, we're meant to believe these people are really tough, dominant, larger than life. And when Stephanie, who's 40 years old, she's a mother, and she's, standing up, towering over, the women's champion and berating her and talking down to her. For God's sake, how can we ever believe that Bayley can win a freaking match for the championship? How can we believe that she's the women's champ? We can't. Which is the reason why I couldn't care less about Bayley, because she's just been booked as a joke. So it's time that they do something about Stephanie. And Mick Foley is, oh God, talk about poor Mick Foley. I get it. His run since GM has been pretty bad. I really haven't enjoyed it. But Stephanie just talking down to poor old Mick every single week and ruining the poor guy. Come on. Mick Foley, he could cut the odd promo saying, I'm Mick freaking Foley, I could do what I want. But still, after a while, that's still can't save you. So Stephanie, she's probably the cancer raw. And once they find the cure for that cancer, then, we might see Raw step up a little bit. And is a new GM, is Kurt Angle coming in as a GM, or whoever the hell they get, is that the cure? I doubt it. I mean, Christ, if Stephanie's treating Kurt like Mick, then that's disgusting. As we said, I think maybe last week. So, can we do something about Stephanie? That's all I'm asking for. Chris Jericho cut a terrific promo. Really on fire. Great. I wasn't sure when they're going to go with this whole the real Kevin Owens thing. Turned out to be pretty okay. I was alright with it. But Jericho really trying to sell this WrestleMania match. He's doing a great job. Dana Brooke. We talked about her big turn and how this is her big opportunity, and she failed. Her one big chance. She really had one chance to do something. One chance to prove that she can be something in this women's division, and she just didn't do it. She just was lackluster in the ring. Couldn't get a reaction at all. The crowd couldn't care. It's disappointing for Dana, but it's not surprising. I don't see money in Dana Brooke. I don't see how they can ever really get her above from what she is right now. You put her on SmackDown, I feel like it's the same thing. I just, as a matter about the booking, I just think it's the talent. In this case, quite often it is the booking. And Raw's booking has been pretty bad, but this time I just think it's the talent. I just don't see Dana Brooke going far at all. And finally, last piece of thing to talk about on Raw was Undertaker and Reigns. Taker chokeslam Braun, and Reigns speared Taker. Well, that was a shocker. Not really. I think we all kind of expected something like that. So just a little disappointed that it's just a little bit predictable that was going to happen. As soon as we had the Reigns and Strowman match, as soon as it started, I thought, all right, Taker's going to come out and interrupt this one so Braun doesn't take a loss and Reigns doesn't have to, lose either. So, yeah, it's just a little predictable. But sometimes predictable isn't bad. And this time, I may have liked to see something different, but what else could they really have done, let's be honest. But that's Raw. Once again, like I said, it's not a lot to really talk about. Raw's just meh. But SmackDown, on the other hand, is fantastic. SmackDown, loved it this week. We are running out of time, so we'll get through it. But Miz and Maurice, the Total Bellas spoof was terrific. I thought Miz was fantastic. The rule number thing, rule number 1, you can't, you must sign a contract, etc. Terrific. That was funny. I was actually thinking it was going to be terrible, but it actually turned out to be amazing. I really loved it, and that's a memorable thing. And that's the thing, that's what I like about SmackDown. We talked about a few weeks ago Randy Orton burning down Bray Wyatt's compound. And AJ Styles did a backstage fight with Shane McMahon. They just do things differently. They just go out of their mile. They actually had Miz and Maurice go to John Cena's actual house and film that there. And it was amazing. It was terrific. It was actually legitimately his house. So it's just great that they're actually going the extra mile, going out of their way to do something. And it's great. Even the Fandango and Tyler Breeze situation was all right. That was kind of silly, but it kind of worked, and I was all right with it. But Tyler Breeze got bitched out by Nikki Bella. That was a sure sign of Tyler Breeze's future in the WWE is not looking bright whatsoever. But other than that, it was okay. I felt as though Fandango probably got a match because of the Southpaw Regional Wrestling situation. We'll talk about that in a moment's time after we get through SmackDown. But big thumbs up, and look, they've turned this rivalry, Miz and Maurice and Cena and Nikki Bella, a rivalry that I could not care less about, on paper. A couple of months ago when they were kind of rumouring it to happen, I couldn't care less about it. They've turned it into a rivalry that I'm actually really looking forward to seeing at WrestleMania. I think The Miz needs to win, as we said a moment ago, because Cena's going to obviously go and do Daddy's Home 2, so he's going to film a movie. So if Cena's out, let's make Miz, let's progress him. And obviously Nikki Bella's on her way out too, apparently. But I guess, Maurice, the problem with, obviously Maurice is not an active wrestler. But, if they wanted to bring her back as an active wrestler, they definitely could. I don't think she probably would want to. I don't think she really needs to either. But, a match here or there, would be okay. So that's a way to get her back involved, and it would just kind of elevate The Miz again. But anyways, they did a terrific job. I thought Maurice did a great job impersonating Nikki. I was very surprised by her. I got to say, I've been very surprised by Maurice overall. I think her on the mic generally is abysmal, but she's cut a good promo on Nikki Bella last week. Now she was good here this week, so she's stepping up her game, and that's something that I think she's needed to do. She's been probably just collecting a paycheck every week, let's be honest, and just standing there next to The Miz and doing nothing. So it's good for her to actually start doing something and getting involved and, earning that paycheck. And I got to say, I'm actually looking forward to Shane McMahon and AJ Styles. They've found a way. Can't believe it. They found a way to hook me in. Shane McMahon doing the table spot, the elbow to the table spot. I believe they did that. Did they do that to Undertaker last year? Or did Shane did it to somebody? Was it Undertaker or it might have been someone else? I don't remember. But, I guess that's Shane's way of kind of showing to everyone that he's good to go, he's ready to go. Look, I think AJ's going to win. He has to win. But here's the case. Here's the situation. You hate that AJ Styles is versing Shane McMahon, but here's the thing. Who else does Shane McMahon verse? Or who else is AJ Styles verse at WrestleMania? The alternative for Shane McMahon might have been Baron Corbin. Big bad Baron Corbin. Maybe Luke Harper. There's not a lot of alternatives there. So, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, he's already beaten him a number of times, done with that. You know, Dolph Ziggler, he's a heel now, and they wouldn't do that. John Cena, done it. Randy Orton, well, he's going for the world title. So there's really no one else for AJ Styles to verse who's a higher caliber. So you think that a lot of people complaining about this, it's a big waste of AJ. Well, who the hell else would AJ Styles verse? At least AJ Styles is getting a high-profile match, will get 15-20 minutes at WrestleMania in a featured spot, and will probably win, and I think we'll put on a good match. Because if Shane McMahon's going to verse someone and work with someone, you want him to work with someone who's going to make Shane look good, and get the best out of Shane McMahon. And AJ Styles will. AJ Styles will give Shane the best possible match that he could have. So realistically, it's a perfect fit. You know, AJ gets a high-profile match, Shane McMahon gets a good match, and we can move on. Because the only alternative I could see was a brand versus brand match, AJ Styles versus someone. But even then, you look over on Raw, who's really available? Sami Zayn? Who cares? Braun Strowman, he's a heel. You know, not going to probably verse AJ. And they probably wouldn't want to do that anyways. Just not a good fit for AJ. You know, you could say, Cesaro, but he's a tag team. He's a tag team guy right now. Plucking him out of a tag team to verse AJ Styles would just be odd and stupid. So there's really no one over there either. You know, the only guy that I could see versing Shane McMahon and have it make sense would be Dolph Ziggler. Dolph Ziggler, you run a storyline. We have been doing a storyline that he can't buy a win. He's been struggling to get a win. And you can start to say that he's blaming Shane McMahon for his downfall. You know, he was doing well, but when he came on SmackDown, he had a great start, then he started to decline, and he can blame it on Shane McMahon for the reason why he has been struggling. Poor management of him, and, very similar storyline to AJ Styles, just kind of different, a little bit. And I think that could have worked as well. But they're obviously much higher up on AJ Styles than they are Dolph Ziggler right now, so AJ Styles gets the nod over Ziggler. But that's the only other guy I could see Shane McMahon having a match with at this point, would be Ziggler, and it being good. But they gave it to AJ Styles instead, and that's fine. New tag team champions, the Usos, have been given the belts back. I have no idea why. Out of the blue. I guess just to try and spice the tag division up a little bit and do something different. Let's be honest, the SmackDown tag division is done and dusted. It's completely dead. It's not looking good. The only teams that are worth watching are the Usos and the American Alpha. So unless they're going to have these two teams feud for the next year, they might want to do something else with it. So I guess they might trade the titles back and forth a little bit over the next few months. And finally, a rumor going around that Summer Rae and Emma, one of them, or maybe both of them, might be joining the Women's Championship match at WrestleMania for SmackDown. I could see Summer Rae doing it, but Emma joining it would be very odd, considering that vignettes are happening on Raw. But if they want to shoehorn her into the match, then I guess they can. Get her on WrestleMania, fair enough. But yeah, so that's that. My thoughts go out to JR. Unfortunately, his wife passed away, so send your tweets out to JR. It's very sad. I mean, she was riding a bike, she got hit, and she didn't have a helmet on. If she had a helmet on, she probably would have, survived. So another one of those things where always wear a helmet. You never know. You might think, nothing's ever going to happen to me. I'll be fine. You never know. It's very sad. And the thing is, I feel super bad for JR because, it's that thing where you've watched someone on TV or you heard someone's voice on TV for over a decade, years, and you just kind of feel like you know the guy, you feel connected to the guy, but you're not really. So I kind of I felt really bad for the guy. But when you think about it, it's it's a guy that I've never really met before or anything like that, never will. But why do I care so much? But I don't know, I just feel super bad for him. I guess, like I said, you just get that connection with someone you watch on TV all the time. It's, we've heard on TV all the time. So my thoughts go out to JR. He's got it rough right now, so send him a tweet, and I'm sure he'd appreciate it. The other little piece of news, Hardy Boys apparently been offered a contract to WWE. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. And the last little thing was Southpaw Regional Wrestling. If you haven't seen it, go on YouTube, check it out. Wow, it was hilarious. When I heard about it a few days, like a week ago, it was very much so out of the blue. Very intrigued to see what it was all about, and it was actually terrific. That's really all I have to say. It was funny, very accurate representation of the territory days back in probably the late 70s, early 80s. Even though they had their show on the the late 80s, I think it was more of the earlier 80s rather than in the late 70s rather than late 80s. But obviously, the big thing at the end, lethal leap year. Let's get that right. On 1987, not actually having a leap year. It was terrific. So, lots of fun characters involved. I think probably Cena and Jericho might have been my two picks, my two favorites. I even enjoyed Fandango. I thought he was funny, even though he didn't really do much. But probably Cena and Jericho. Jericho is that high pitch, typical announcer from back in the day. I just really enjoyed that. So check that out if you haven't already. And we have some questions to get into before we get out of here. So let's get straight into them.
Do you think, Brendan, that they're going to bring up anybody like Bobby Roode or Asuka? Or possibly even Peyton Royce?
Well, first of all, that wasn't my beeping. I don't know. You got to sort that beeping out too. But anyways, are they going to call anyone up? Absolutely. I think Nakamura is probably the next in line to get the call up. I think he's probably ready to go. Asuka, I personally would like to see her get called up, even as NXT Women's Champion. Have her do the storyline where she is the champ at NXT, never been beaten. She comes into WWE, she doesn't get beaten again. She runs through the roster and just book her as a dominant woman who just can't get beat. And even have her work both NXT occasionally, be that part-time champ in NXT whilst they spotlight the other women, and then have her be on the main roster. I can see that working. I'd be okay with that. I'd be all for that. So, and the other good people, Peyton Royce, personally, I'm a big fan of Peyton Royce. She's Australian. I think she's great. I think she's probably the better out of between herself and Billie Kay. I think she's got a little bit more work and more to accomplish in NXT at this point, and I don't think there's probably space for her to legitimately get a chance on the main roster. Bobby Roode, I still think, once again, they need someone to be the backbone of NXT, and he's that guy. I would love to see Bobby Roode in the main roster. Bobby Roode's my favorite wrestler right now, but I just don't see it.
Hey, Brendan. I have two questions. My first one is, what software do you use to make your thumbnails and your videos, especially the Universe Mode ones? My second question is a bit random, but do you prefer the New Day as the New Day or when they were as single stars? Cheers.
Well, I use Adobe Photoshop to create my thumbnails. A lot of the graphics you see in my Universe Mode, for example, match cards and things like that, some of them I make, some of them I do not make. Most of the pay-per-view ones I do not make. The official ones I don't make myself. I am not a graphics guy. I wish I was. One of the things I wish I could do is create graphics. It would save so much hassle, so much drama in my life. I just wish I had the ability to create things. A lot of the times I just find templates of things online and I use Photoshop to edit them and I mess around and make it to my liking. I have the ability to kind of, work with a template pretty well, but I cannot physically make something from scratch, and that frustrates me, but I wish I could. For my videos, I use Sony Vegas Pro to edit them and render them. As for the New Day, look, as a group, they've been very successful. I just am so bored of them right now. I think they are on my shit list. I just don't care about them whatsoever. As a singles, look, Kofi Kingston was a good mid-card guy, good mid-card babyface. Big E, I thought, had some potential. Xavier Woods, I really didn't see much in. I think they're better off being grouped up, but they need to spice up the characters or do something, because I've got no interest in them at all. And as a singles, I don't, if they split up right now, I think they would do something with Kofi. I think they would do something with Big E. I just can't see them doing all that much with Xavier Woods. I can't see him getting successful as a singles. You know, they might probably give him a gimmick or something like that. You know, something hokey. So that's probably where he would end up. All right, so we have some more questions here. Alrighty, so the first one. Well, I hope this is a joke. Cameron Fox, do you think Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar at Mania should be a 60-minute Iron Man match? Look, if it was a 60-minute Iron Man match, I think you need to have the ambulance close by for probably both Goldberg and Lesnar. I think they probably would die. It might be a 60-second Iron Man match. That's probably more realistic than a 60-minute Iron Man match. Thomas Speller, which title do you think should return? Which title should you get rid of? Should we get rid of? Personally, the only title I can see returning, well, would want to return, is the Hardcore Championship. But I think it'd be cool because they have the network, and they could have the 24/7 element and just kind of put the video clips up on the network. You know, kind of have like a Hardcore Championship section, and all the clips of the Hardcore title being, you know, defended or changing hands there would be cool. But yeah, I doubt the Hardcore element would be any, you know, in play. What title would I get rid of? Honestly, probably just the Cruiserweights. You know, the Cruiserweights, you know, like I said, I've been watching 05 WWE. In 2005, the Cruiserweight division was horrendous as well. They had no stars at all. Sometimes they're not even featured on the show, and they're just an afterthought. They don't have any storylines. They don't have anything about it. So the Cruiserweight division in WWE traditionally has just been poor, and it's not changing. Let's have a look. Name one person that isn't in the Hall of Fame that deserves it, and name one person that doesn't deserve it. That's from Thomas again. One person that deserves it, I mean, there's a number of guys, you know, Bruiser Brody, probably Owen Hart. Then you can even look at guys, you know, that probably have only recently retired, you know, JBL, Batista, The Rock, you know, those type of guys. There's plenty of guys that are due, you know, Paul Heyman, Jim Cornette, Eric Bischoff. There's a whole website dedicated to people that should be in the Hall of Fame that are not. Look up "not in Hall of Fame" and you'll find it. One person that probably doesn't deserve it. Well, one person that's about to be in it is Beth Phoenix. I don't think she deserves it. Obviously, you could go with the usual Coco Beware, Nikolai Volkov. Those are probably the other two that are very controversial that may not deserve it. So, you know, you could debate that. I don't know their careers well enough to have an opinion, but for me personally, Beth Phoenix, when she's about to get inducted, I don't think she deserves to be in it. O'Shea Bryant, do you think Lesnar and Goldberg would be better than their last Mania match? I think so. I think they will try at least. I think Goldberg will at least try. It just depends on the length. If it's 5 minutes, how can it be good? You know, you can't have a good wrestling match in 5 minutes. It doesn't matter if you're Shawn Michaels and, you know, Eddie Guerrero. I can't see them having a classic WrestleMania match in 5 minutes. It's got to be at least 10, 12 minutes. You know, I personally would have had it go no holds barred, have them use weapons, use chairs, make each other bleed, brawl the outside, maybe put one another through a table. Just go that route rather than in the middle of the ring and having a wrestling match. Just have a fight. Go on the crowd, and that's an easy way to eat up time and make it entertaining. And would probably suit them as well. And would avoid Goldberg from having to take, you know, 12 suplexes. And let's have a look at the next question. This one's from Michael Ernie. Will Conor McGregor show up at WrestleMania? No, I don't think so. Jonathan McDonald, do you still think W2K18 will be the perfect game? You predicted that it would be about a year ago, he thinks. Could be. You know, they've taken a lot of steps. I think 2K17 is better than 16. Every year they're getting better. I think so. The only thing I think they really are missing is I still think career mode is not good. I still think career mode takes forever to progress. It's so repetitive. It's just boring as hell. So they need to really fix career mode. Universe mode is great. Well, I find it great. But if I played it how most people play it, it probably would be pretty shitty as well. The online still has a lot of issues, even though I never will play online on that game ever again. I think this is the year that I would bring back GM mode. And I know people say, well, dude, GM mode, come on. I know you love GM mode, but really, you're going to bring it back? Yeah, I think, you got two brands. You got the brand split. It's Raw, SmackDown. This is the time. Bring it back. GM mode. Let's do it. And they bring back GM mode and make it even better. I've got a ton of ideas to make GM mode good. Just give me a phone call and I'll tell you all about them. And we're ready to go. But I think I can't see a new mode being introduced this year, unfortunately. Maybe GM mode might be 2K19. But, it's going to be, if they really... The one thing I think they should really do is expand the roster. Really just get everyone in NXT on there. And, really go... Not just pick the main guys in NXT, just get everyone from NXT in there. Another one from Jonathan. Since Goldberg is not liked by anyone in Universe mode, in the Universe mode locker room, and since Money in the Bank's coming up, can you make the Universe title match a ladder match? Well, it's very possible. We haven't quite got the title set in stone. Obviously, Kevin Owens has a rematch for the championship. Seth Rollins might have had a case to make to be in the championship match, but he's out injured. We're hearing that he might even miss Money in the Bank, and his involvement in the Money in the Bank match is gone. So it probably would be Kevin Owens and Goldberg for just a straight-up rematch at this point. Maybe they try and sneak someone else involved, but that's where I see it at this point. Michael Ernie, what are you looking forward to in WWE 2K18? Like I said, I'm looking forward to just playing all the new characters. That's what I look forward to every year. There's a lot of guys that I really, from NXT, that I would love to play. Bobby Roode, I think having him in the new game would be amazing. And a lot of the women in there, like Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, it's exciting to me to play as all them. And just have all the new characters. I love having the full roster to play with. It's so fun. Especially for Universe mode, it really is fun. So I just hope they expand the roster big time. And final question from Jojo Morano. It's another Universe mode one. Can you bring in indie guys on NXT for Universe mode? Look, Jojo, Universe mode still is roughly based on real and current day WWE. Sometimes we'll make exceptions and we'll bring in the odd guy that isn't on WWE. But for the most of the time, if they're not in WWE, you probably won't expect to see them in Universe mode. And there's a number of reasons for that, and one is because that's just my preference, it's just what I like to do. And another one is, I probably wouldn't do that independent person justice. I don't watch indies and the independent, so I don't have any personal interest in utilizing and using these characters on my show. Except for the odd person that maybe I followed their career somewhat, they've been in WWE in the past, maybe I would think about bringing them back, but, a random independent guy that I have no interest in, it's not really gonna happen. So, but if you do want to leave a question for next week's show, make sure you do so by leaving a comment in the comment section down below, heading over to the website BrendenPlayz.com, clicking the green button on the right hand side of the page, and by leaving a voicemail. You can have your voice heard on the show, and also heading over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/BrendenPlayz, and you leave a question there as well. The show is getting a little longer every week. I apologize for that. But I hope you enjoyed this week's edition of the show. WrestleMania is getting very, very close. I mean, what is it? Friday? Yeah, it's Friday right now for me. So, what have we got? One more? Is it only one more week of Raw and SmackDown till WrestleMania? Is that right? I think that's right. Maybe one more after that. I don't know. It's close. It's close. So, I'm looking forward to it. Cannot wait. And I hope you enjoyed the show, and I will see you all next Thursday for another edition of Let's Talk Thursdays podcast.